Hi, my name is Robin Gutman, and I want to talk to you today about termination. Terminating therapy. If you've been in therapy and you feel like you're ready to end therapy, so what does that process look like? So it's called termination in therapeutic terms, which sounds a little ominous, I think. But I want to talk about what termination actually is and how to go about it and why it's important and all that. So termination is basically the process of ending therapy. It's really that simple. Now, I'm curious for anyone on the live, or if anybody wants to comment after we save the live, if you've been in therapy and maybe you've switched therapists or maybe you just ended it, I really am curious if you ended it in a way like via text, email, were you in person? Did you kind of just ghost your therapist? So there's all different ways of finishing off with a therapist. And if you want to share in the comment box, you can. But I am really curious. I will say, as a therapist, my primary experience is usually we don't get to the termination session, which is unfortunate. And I want to share with you why I think it's unfortunate, because terminating therapy in like a really nice way is so valuable. So first of all, why is it needed? Why do you have to terminate therapy? Why can't you just text your therapist or ghost your therapist? Just don't go back for your next session if you don't want to. Obviously, you don't have to. You never have to go back to therapy. But the short answer of why I think it's needed, it provides closure. When you're in a therapeutic relationship, it's a relationship of sorts. So it provides closure to just be able to go over, have you met your goals and what is it going to be like? All these things that you want to talk about as part of the process. And if you don't show up, or you're just sending an email or leaving a voice note or whatever it is, you're not going to get that sense of closure. So sense of closure, that's my short answer. Now the longer answer, which isn't all that long, don't worry, I'm gonna keep this live short. But the longer answer is really on a deeper level. I think the idea of terminating therapy really allows you to put into practice the skills that you've been talking about in therapy. So let me explain that a little bit. Basically, one of the major parts of therapy is discussing your emotions, right? Accessing your emotions and communicating them. So when you're ready to end therapy, if you're able to do those things, then you know you really achieved your goals. Accessing your emotions means, how do I feel about ending off with my therapist? So also there's two parts to this. Did the therapist bring this up? Because that's going to bring up very different emotions than if you chose to end therapy. So depending on who started this conversation, who brought it up, your emotions will be different. But regardless, you want to think about your emotions, right? So imagine if the therapist says, it sounds like you're in a really good place right now. What do you think about us starting to talk about, maybe cutting down on the sessions, slowly, maybe we have a goal date of, let's say it's March. So maybe we say by the end of April, maybe you'll be ready to stop therapy, right? So you might think that's a great idea, or you might be very panicked. Either way, whatever comes up for you, if you're able to access those emotions that are coming up, that's good. Now you want to communicate those emotions, right? So if you're on board and you're able to reflect on your progress, then great, then do that, communicate. And if you feel maybe abandoned, my therapist is kicking me out, you might feel really bad, communicate that also. It's really important to be able to access your emotions and communicate them when you're talking about termination, whether you're ready to terminate or not. So I think that it's important to terminate. Really, it brings up a lot in you. It tests your, not only your emotions and your communication, but also because it is a relationship, it's almost like a microcosm of your relationship. The therapy relationship is like a microcosm of your relationships out in the big wide world. Whatever you're able to do in that relationship, hopefully you can also take those skills and use them out in the world with other relationships. And that's why it's so important for you to be able to communicate and kind of navigate through ending this relationship. Not because you're looking to end other relationships in your life, but because you're looking to learn how to communicate your needs and get what you want out of the relationship. So, do you have to terminate? No, you don't have to terminate. Do I think that there are benefits to terminating? Yes, it provides a sense of closure. it gives you a sign that that you do have the strengths and the things that you were working on, the communication, the emotions, all of that. So I do think that it's a really good idea. And I'm just going to check over. I jotted down a few things that I wanted to share. So let me just see if there's anything else that I wanted to share with you. Let's see. Oh, how many sessions? Also, this is a question that sometimes comes up. How people are curious? How many sessions would I need if I am going to terminate? Like, is it a one-time session? And it could be a one-time session, and it could be something that you're working up towards. So again, depending on how often you're seeing your therapist, it depends for what issue you're seeing your therapist. But even using one session to terminate is better than sending a text. Even using that one session to just kind of work through how you're leaving off, what you're looking forward to. I think it's for your own good to be able to do that, because again, it's very strength-based. You're going to be taking like the good things with you, hopefully. Things you learned, skills you learned. So I think that is really good and important. I think it's beneficial, both in regards to your personal therapeutic experience and also just having the skill set to navigate termination. So, and again, termination sounds like a big word, but really it's just symbolizing the ending, the process of ending therapy. So those are my thoughts on how to terminate therapy, and I'm just going to hang out here for a moment to see if anybody has any questions, anything that they want to ask. Thank you all so much for joining. It's so fun to see like names popping up on the live, and hopefully I will save this as soon as I'm done, just checking if there's any questions. I don't see any. You can always feel free to check out my page. You can DM me if you have any questions about termination, and I wish you luck on your therapeutic journey, and it was nice being here. Thank you, OKclarity, for having me.